Hello, chemistry students. We're going to continue our talks about compound stoichiometry. This video is going to be about Avogadro's number. And you need to know a few terms first. So what is a mole? And I'm not talking about the animal that goes down into the ground and spends most of its time underground. I'm talking about the mole in chemistry. It is different. It is a counting number. And a counting number is something like a dozen. If I told you I had a dozen students, you would be able to tell me that I had 12 students. If I said I had a half a dozen eggs, you'd be able to tell me that I had 6 eggs. If I said that I had 2 dozen children, you'd say that I had 24 children, which I don't. So a mole is a counting number, and 1 mole is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So Avogadro's number. Well, Avogadro's number happens to be a mole of particles. So it is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles. Now, we don't expect you to memorize that number. It is actually on your STAR reference materials under constants and conversions because Avogadro's number is a constant. It is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles per mole, and we'll talk more about particles and what that means in the next video. So aluminum. We need to find out what the molar mass of aluminum is, and if you remember on the last video, molar mass is the same thing as, for aluminum, atomic mass. And aluminum is right here, and it has an atomic mass of 26.98 grams in 1 mole. And the number of particles of aluminum in 26.98 happens to be 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, because this is grams in 1 mole and this is particles in 1 mole. So there are 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms in 1 mole, or 26.98 grams of aluminum. Now let's talk about sodium chloride. Sodium, it's right here, 22.99, and chlorine is 35.45. And the chemical formula for sodium chloride is NaCl. So there's 1 sodium and there's 1 chlorine. If you add those two numbers up together, you will get 58.45 grams in 1 mole. How many particles of sodium chloride are in 58.45 grams? Well, it happens to be 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles of sodium chloride in 58.45 grams. Dihydrogen monoxide. Well, let's write that out. Dihydrogen monoxide. Well, that's H2O. And the molar mass of H2O is 18.02 grams, and that is in 1 mole. And the number of particles of water in 18.02 grams is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules of water in 18.2 grams of water. So looking at your chart now, what is the difference between a mole of elephants, a mole of feathers, and a mole of water? What is something that does change? Well, that would be the mass and the size, but we're more interested in the mass.